You're a photographer. You thought that starting a business was just going to be taking some pretty photos and inquiries and bookings would be flying into your inbox, and you quickly realized, oh my gosh, I have to figure this out legally. Yes, one of the things with starting a photography business is having it legally done. So before you cause yourself a lot of headache by skipping any of these steps, I'm going to be walking you through exactly what to do to make sure that your business is legal. Hey there, photography friends. I'm Sean Brown. I'm a portrait photographer, and after building my business to 6 figures, I now help photographers just like you do the exact same through booking more clients, making more money, and having time, flexibility, and freedom to do more of what it is that you love. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button where we put out videos like this every single week. Now, I'm gonna put a disclaimer, a little asterisk at the beginning of this video, that this is for entertainment purposes only. This is not legal advice. Please consult your business attorneys, lawyers, all those things. But what we're going to be talking about are what I would do if I were starting my business. And yes, this does include making sure that you talk to the proper channels along the way. So with starting a photography business, it's easy to book clients sometimes. It's easy to get this thing going where you start doing some shoots and start having people pay you for this, even if it's just 25, 50 bucks here and there. And one of the things that you don't want to have is you don't want to get caught in hot water, which can happen if you don't follow these steps. Because one of the things that I have happen is coaching students, seeing them say, yeah, I do my photography business and I didn't do this, or I skipped this and I didn't pay tax, and it lands them into a lot of trouble. So because you're watching this video, you're not gonna do that. So make sure to hit the like button, and that's your promise to me that you're gonna follow these steps. So let's get into it. The first thing to do, this is the first one because a lot of the things after this require having this done. And this may seem really, really simple, but this is getting your business name and deciding what is it that you're going to legally be calling your business. So yes, you can just use your name, photography, and all those things, but it is a little bit more than that, right? In fact, what you have to do is you want to make sure that you are going to your state's website. There's usually a Department of Revenue or some sort of Secretary of State or something like that. And there's some sort of entity that's going to handle your business basically being formed. And this could be in the form of a business license. It could be in the form of documenting your business being created as an LLC. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But the first thing is to decide, what is it that your business is going to be named? Because everything that you do from here on forward, you're going to operate under that business name. So for me, that's Sean Brown Productions LLC. That's my client business, or my client side of the business. That's what it's under. That's what every single thing is operated under. Now, you'll notice that I said Sean Brown Productions LLC. That stands for a limited liability company. And with this, one of the things that you're going to want to do is to do some research on, is an LLC best for you? And I'm going to give my reasoning of why every photographer should at least be an LLC. You can file under a sole proprietorship. This is basically saying that you have the means of operating a business and you're going to operate it under your legal name. So if your name is Joe Schmo, you would be Joe Schmo Photography, and that's technically a form of doing business, but you really still need to file this with proper entities, with proper licenses, and you still even need to really register that. But basically, Joe Schmo Photography and Joe Schmo are the exact same. They're both personal entities. You basically are liable for anything that Joe Schmo Photography does, and Joe Schmo Photography is liable for anything that Joe Schmo does. Now, with an LLC, what this is going to do is it's going to separate Joe Schmo Photography from Joe Schmo. So for me, Sean Brown is different than Sean Brown Productions LLC, because with this, there is a separation between personal and business. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole legalese on this, but in essence, an LLC protects you and your personal assets from the business. So say you are out on a photo shoot and a client trips and sprains their ankle and they decide that they want to come and sue you. Now, hopefully this doesn't happen, but if that event happens, then the LLC is one form of protection that you have against that client just taking all of your personal assets. Now, there's another category called an S Corp. And an S Corp basically has a little bit more structure, a little bit even more protection and stuff. But for most part, it's going to be easiest to file with an LLC. Now, you may want to ask your tax professional, is an S Corp better? Because in some states, it may be more tax advantageous to file under an S Corp. And the great thing is that you want to start doing this in the beginning, but because you're watching this video, you're going to, and it's going to be slightly easier to do this earlier in your business than later on. Now, if you're in business, you've been doing business for a few years and you're like, hey, I probably should get a little bit more legal. Well, it's not too late. Talk to a small business professional. They're going to be able to help you roll over, say, like a sole proprietorship to an LLC, LLC to an S Corp. They'll help you with all the paperwork and everything right there. But first thing is really defining your business name and deciding, hey, are you going to be an LLC? Are you going to be a sole proprietorship? And getting the proper licensing for your state. Now, each state's going to vary, so make sure that you get in contact with the right people. The second step of the process, and this is more from a federal level, is you're going to file your EIN. This is an employee identification number. With an EIN, this is going to be different than your social security number. And with an EIN, this is just going to basically be your federal government identification. So anytime you file taxes, especially if you have an LLC, chances are you may be using an EIN, but this is going to allow you to do other steps in the process that we're going to get to in a minute. This is super easy. You'll just go to the IRS website. You'll say you want to create an EIN. You'll answer some questions, and it's usually done in 10 to 15 minutes if my memory serves me correct. So it's a really super easy process, but you have to have all of your state documentation filed first before you do your EIN. So you can't just skip over that. You have to actually do it in order. The next thing you're going to want to do, if you haven't already, is you must have a separate business bank account. This is something that's like a non-negotiable. If you are an LLC and you are found intermingling your personal with your business funds, then people can argue that you're not actually an LLC. You're not actually taking care of that distinction between the personal and the business very well. And it can lead to a lot of headaches if things go south for you with a client. So with a separate business bank account, this is going to be at a bare minimum what you should be doing, and that is all your client expenses go in and out of that account. So if you are paying for your website subscription for the month, it goes out of your business bank account. If you're ordering products for a client, it goes out of your business bank account. If you're collecting money from a client, it goes into your business bank account. So there's no mixing of personal with business, and this is really important to make sure that you're staying up to date with all of the legal protections of an LLC and all of the requirements with this. Now, I can get into a lot of detail with this because even under my own business bank account, we've got a few separate sub-accounts, things like for estimated taxes or a general emergency fund for our business, those types of things. That's not something that's a necessity, but it is going to make your life a lot easier and a lot more organized as well. So something to look into with some sort of, say, high yield savings account, and that's a great thing to do. Again, not legal advice, just for entertainment purposes only, so talk to a tax professional before you set all this up. The next step in the process is going to be getting your insurance. So with insurance, there are a few different types of insurance, and there are going to be one that is most popular with photographers because when you get into business, you've got a lot of money tied up in these, in lenses, in cameras, in laptops. And so the first instinct for a lot of photographers is that they want to protect those assets. And so maybe you get registered under a professional organization like PPA, Professional Photographers of America, and they offer some insurance. And so you sign up for it and you're like, great, I have $10,000 of equipment coverage. This is great. It is, but we also need another form of insurance, and that is going to be called our general liability. This, in my eyes, is way more important than having your gear protected, because what this is going to do is, again, that's going to protect you from your angry client or the client that is sue happy or something like that. And what it does is it provides you the protection of protecting against lawsuits, of protecting your business from bad things happening. So with this, it's going to cover for basically like, if a client gets hurt or a million other things. Again, you'll want to talk to an insurance company about this to make sure you're picking one that's right for you. Really popular with photographers is, again, PPA. They tie in with Locked In for insurance, Hill and Usher. There are a million other resources. Talk to an insurance broker in your area to see if there might be better options for you for your particular state and local county. But that's besides the point, because after you've gotten your insurance, the next step of protection is going to have your contract and legal agreements all done. So with this is going to be things like your client contract that every client is signing before the shoot, basically saying, hey, here's what we're planning to promise you. Here's what you're going to give us in exchange. So you're going to pay us this price. You're going to agree to this amount. You're going to show up on time. You're not going to reschedule. This is all the legal stuff, because without a contract, you don't have a booking. That's how I view it. Because if you don't have a contract, there's nothing protecting you from the client doing something, and also nothing protecting the client from you doing something as well. So if you don't show, they have no recourse as well. So if you're hesitant to say, hey, I don't really want to do a contract in my business, Sean, I go a little bit more low key. I'm not as professional. I keep it a little bit more mellow with my clients. Start looking at it as a way of saying, hey, if I'm a photographer and I ghost you and you already paid me money, you don't really have any recourse. There's no contract. There's just a verbal agreement. For all the courts know, you just sent me some money and services were already rendered. So you want to make sure that you have a contract to protect your clients as well. This also goes into the category of things like having a model release, having a release for them to print the files digital or print their digital files with you, those types of things. So we also can build that into our contract as well to make sure, again, that everybody's on the same page. The next step in the process is going to also be making sure that since you're receiving money for your services now, you're also going to make sure that you are paying Uncle Sam, that you're giving your fair share to the government. And you're going to want to make sure that you are filing your taxes in the proper schedule. So making sure that if it's quarterly, if it's monthly, if it's annual, whatever your schedule is for your business, again, talk to a tax professional. For most businesses, it's going to be quarterly filing. I believe if you make a certain amount with state, you might even have to file monthly for remitting things like sales tax. So you're going to want to make sure that you're collecting sales tax if you need to, and you're also going to want to make sure that you're putting money aside for that federal income tax at the end of the year, state income taxes, all those things. That's another reason why having a separate bank account is so important, because it allows you to keep those funds accurately, we'll call them prioritized. So you don't want to accidentally spend your tax money and then all of a sudden you're in a hole, right? That's not what we want. The other thing too that helps with this is having a good bookkeeping software. We use QuickBooks. This is super easy. I'm able to take my credit cards that are tied in with the business, my bank accounts, and it basically compiles it all under one account for really easy accounting. With this, what we can do is we can see exactly where the money went, has it keep track of everything, and then compile something called a P&L, a profit and loss report at the end of the year, pull our expenses. It's really nice and easy, super seamless. It saves us a lot of time. So having some sort of bookkeeping software, the best one for you is whatever one is the right fit for you and your business. I really like QuickBooks. It works very well, very seamless, and a lot of customer support when you need it. And lastly, what we're going to do for making sure your business is legal is legalizing it online. So things like in your website, having some sort of privacy policy, having some sort of terms of service. If you're collecting emails, making sure that you're GDPR compliant. You can go down that rabbit hole, but basically it's a way of saying, hey, we're gonna keep all of their data secure. And you're also gonna wanna make sure that you're adhering to copyright law. So just like you want your photos to be protected, well, so do the music artists, so do anybody that's using creative means, videos, photos in your marketing, in your work, in your websites, those types of things. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you have proper licensing and copyright. You're following the copyright laws for whatever it is, whether it's music that you're using in a YouTube video like this, or sending to your clients, or even just a photo that you're using on your website that wasn't necessarily one that you took. Now, don't steal other photographers' work, but we're talking things like stock photos. You wanna make sure that you have the proper licenses for that. Now, I know this isn't the most fun video, I know this isn't the most exciting video, but this is one of the most important videos that you'll watch. So again, hit the like button. That's your promise to me that you're gonna do all the legal stuff before you get into any hot water, before you have any headaches. And if you're wondering, hey, how can I get started with even booking more clients after I've legalized this process? Well, make sure to grab our free crash course down below, where we walk you through exactly step by step of what to do starting your senior photography business, booking more clients and making more money so that you can get your business up and running legally the right way. So again, smash the follow button, hit the subscribe button, all those things so you can stay up to date with all things senior photography education. And you got a question? Drop that down below. We'll be answering those for you. And YouTube is gonna suggest the next video for you to watch right here. So I don't know, it's gonna be something that helps you. So make sure to stay tuned and we'll see you next time.